What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and you check out the content. With that being said, man, I want to speak on the downfall of LeBron James. Like some people think that what's going on now is the beginning of the downfall of LeBron James, and the reason why they're saying that is because LeBron James is basically at the end of his career. He recently came out and said that he think he could play about 3 or maybe 4 more years. Some people really don't see that, as a possibility. I don't know. I always thought that the longer LeBron James played, the worse it would be for him as far as his legacy, right? Especially, him only having 4 rings in 23 years, so I think that really is don't look good for his legacy. But just like in the music industry, when people were wishing for the downfall of Puff Daddy, and some people even wishing for the downfall of Jay-Z, and I think they were wishing for their downfall because some people felt like, like they were done wrong by those guys. Now I don't know if too many people really feel like LeBron James was he did people wrong to the extent that Jay-Z and Puff Daddy did, right? But some people do feel slighted. Some people feel like LeBron James and Clutch were like gatekeepers in the NBA, so to speak, right? And so the downfall of LeBron James, man, can't really, as far as they're concerned, can't really come soon enough. And so the signs are already there. Like I said, the way the Lakers handled the situation with LeBron James, like his last 2 years with LA, you could kind of see that his power and his influence was diminishing. And now, that is closer to the end of his career, people are predicting, that it'll diminish even more. But let me play the audio from a video that I ran across, where it kind of explains how over the years you can see that LeBron James, his influence and his power is diminishing, and the reason for his power diminishing.
So it's January 2026, and when you look at the state of the Lakers right now, I think we can officially call time of death on the whole LeBron James paradigm. Of course, not his career, but his power. His ability to pull the strings in that organization is just gone. The king has not been exiled, but he has been dethroned. LeBron is in such a strange spot. He got what he wanted. He's playing with his son in LA, but the cost was all of his power. He's trapped. He's in a golden cage that he built himself. He's watching his son struggle. He's watching Luka take all the big shots, and he's realizing that while he's still a king in title, he's no longer the one sitting on the throne. The NBA runs on two things: stars and stable ownership. For nearly a decade, the Lakers lived in a weird in-between, less like a traditional franchise and more like a shared kingdom, as a fiefdom governed by the collaborative, albeit increasingly strained alliance between the Buss Family Trust and the Clutch Sports Group. That partnership worked when it mattered most. It produced the 2020 title, powered by LeBron James as both an on-court force and a master of the league's storylines, and by Jeannie Buss's relationship-first, emotionally driven style at the top. That ecosystem didn't just crack, it got taken apart, piece by piece. It was systematically dismantled. Baxter Holmes' ESPN report, which laid out Jeannie Buss's private frustration with LeBron, hit at the exact same time as two bigger shifts: the Lakers' ownership structure changing in a way that modernizes the franchise, and the reality that LeBron, statistically, physically, inevitably, is no longer the same player. The LeBron James era has not ended due to a single catastrophic event, but rather through a pincer movement of forces. Buzz finally running out of patience, a colder and more corporate ownership group arriving with different priorities, and Luka Doncic becoming the new center of gravity. LeBron's greatest superpower wasn't just dominance, it was control. His legendary ability to dictate the media cycle. He could shape the conversation, influence decisions.
Now, to a certain extent, LeBron James is still dictating the media cycle. But the thing about the way he's dictating it is and it's going to come that's going to come to an end too, right? He's dictating it because he's polarizing, right? Not because he is somebody who is still effective on a basketball court, not because he's somebody who can control the game the way he used to, a few years ago. That's not it. People, either you love LeBron James or you hate LeBron James. And if you love him, you want to see LeBron James do well on the court, and you want to be proven right. Now, if you hate LeBron James, you're just waiting for that other shoe to drop. You're waiting for, his power and his influence to dissolve so you can say, I told you so. Right now, with with all ath- with all athletes, this kind of, this happens towards the end of their careers anyway, right? But the thing is, I think what is going to hurt LeBron James the most is the way that he managed his career um, early on, right? Because now, he don't have any really like any goodwill favors or anything to fall back on. People, he put himself in a position now that where people really want to get back at him. Remember, like even in this audio, they said that Jeannie Buss, and it was public. Jeannie Buss at some point in time became she wasn't happy with LeBron James. She felt like LeBron James showed a certain amount of he wasn't appreciative for the things that the Lakers organization had did for him as far as like drafting his son. Um, they went out and got the coach that he wanted. And they basically, she felt like the organization basically bent over backwards for LeBron James just to make him happy. And so when LeBron James have a sense of entitlement and he don't really act like he appreciate the things that the organization or anybody that anyone does for him, then that causes resentment. And when that resentment is there, like people can't wait until you're in a position where as though they have the leverage and you don't have the leverage, and then they can exercise the power. And you're basically at their mercy. Now, if when you do have leverage and you do have power and you kind of manage it the correct way, then you'll still have some allies. But to me, it really don't seem like LeBron James was in the business of making allies. It just seems like LeBron James was more so in the business of exercising his power and exercising his leverage. And it's getting real close to now a situation where that's going to come back and bite LeBron James. So, like I said, people wishing for his downfall, or not really wishing for it, but really just waiting because they want to see what happens. They want to be in a position where they can say, I told you so, and he should have used his power and his leverage differently than what he did. And people could see how this thing is going to end, for LeBron James. It's going to end in a way where people, like I said, his enemies are going to step forward and exercise their power and the leverage that they have over him. And it's really going to be ugly. I remember watching Michael Jordan when he was at the Washington Wizards, right? And I think he was born in there and he was kind of expecting to become part owner because he wanted to be a owner, right? And he was expecting to become part owner. And the family, I forgot what the family name was that owned the Wizards organization, but they didn't really, some promises was made basically, and they really, when Michael Jordan called him out on it, they kind of just like put him in his place and just told him they wasn't giving him nothing, right? And so it was more so a wake up call for Michael Jordan. And so Michael Jordan just said, he wound up going somewhere else and finding ownership with what was it, the Charlotte Hornets or in that organization. But I don't think that I'm trying to see why would an organization allow LeBron James to own a team. I don't know. I'm not sure. I kind of go back and forth on whether I think the league will allow LeBron to own a team just because of how he wasn't really a great ambassador, in my opinion, for the league. He didn't play hard. He load managed. He did a lot of flopping and all this other stuff. He's more polarizing. But if you look at it, polarizing, that's like the new currency of the day, right? Like finding ways to draw attention to yourself. And that's what LeBron James and Clutch Sports are good at. They're good at being polarized, and they're good at drawing attention to yourself. So maybe, they'll want LeBron James as an owner, sort of like Mark Cuban or the guy from the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, right? But I don't know, man. I'm still kind of up in the air about it, but that's my take on it. Just waiting to see how this thing plays out. And so that's my take. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment.